Week 7 is in the books, and we are looking at the ideal roster that we can make from the players based on their performances this week. 7 games in the SEC, 6 of those SEC on SEC matchups. And what we're doing is looking at all the best players. We've done this for 7 weeks now, and have had some pretty good performances week over week. So why don't we get right into it? We look at the offense first, and we'll start with the quarterback position. Nothing super outstanding. No one had just a crazy over-the-top performance this week in the SEC. But best performance this week, we got to give it to Ty Simpson, Alabama quarterback. 3 touchdowns, only 200 yards. But when you watch this game and you look at the performance that he had, 3 for 3 on 4th down, pretty clutch in the key moments aside from that one fumble. He's slowly becoming one of the best quarterbacks in college football. Heisman frontrunner right now, along with Carson Beck. Continuing to elevate this Alabama team. If you look at how far they've come from week 1 to now, it makes sense why he's been so talked about. This last game, 9 different guys got involved in the pass game. He hit 9 different receivers. That makes it really hard for opposing teams to lock in on one guy. And we've seen that week over week, spreading the wealth. Let's move on to the running back position. This was a tough one. Close tie between Kawan Lacey and Deshaun Bishop. Kawan Lacey out of Ole Miss, Bishop out of Tennessee. Ultimately gave it to Kawan Lacey. He didn't have the same amount of yards as Bishop on the ground. Bishop had him by 4 yards and scored a touchdown. Just real quickly, a shout out to Deshaun Bishop. 10.4 yards per attempt in that game versus Arkansas. We know that the Arkansas defense has been a little bit defeatable at times, hasn't looked the best, but he showed out in that game along with really the whole Tennessee running back room. The reason why Kawan Lacey here, 142 yards, he had 14 broken tackles in this game. I believe that's second most on the season. Don't quote me on that, but he's continued to be a key part of this Ole Miss offense that has a lot of playmakers. They didn't expect this game to be as close as it was. Played a critical part in continuing to move the ball in a game that wasn't as pretty as they expected it to be. Looking at the helmet stickers here, that represents when you've got on our team of the week before. So shout out Kawan Lacey, but Deshaun Bishop as well right there behind him. Let's look at the wide receivers. We only had one receiver in the SEC go over 100 yards. Back into that Tennessee versus Arkansas games, it was Braylon Staley. Really, you've seen Chris Brezel, Mike Matthews get the number 1, number 2 looks for Tennessee. Braylon Staley, 109 yards, 18.2 yards per catch. This Tennessee team behind Joey Aguilar has done a lot in the air. 2 other receivers here. We got Lottie Brooks for Alabama and Caden Lee for Ole Miss. Kind of less because of their overall stat line and more because of the crucial plays that they made when it mattered most. Lottie Brooks getting that 4th down catch at the end of the game came really critical when you looked at how the game went at the end, where Missouri had a chance to take the lead or to tie it up at least with a field goal. Caden Lee, big time touchdown to give Ole Miss some breathing room. 2 great jukes on that play. Go back and watch the highlights on that one. He did have 56 yards on the day as well. Last guy for our pass catchers here, we got Trey'Dez Green out of LSU. This game now 119 yards, 1 touchdown. Trey'Dez Green doing what he needs to do here. In a tight game with South Carolina, scoring a touchdown, being their number 1 receiver when you do have some injuries that are affecting your receiving core was huge. Last year on the offensive team of the week, we look at the O-line as one whole unit. Starters, backups, everyone who plays into that O-line. And we got to give it to Georgia. No sacks allowed from the O-line play. Stockton didn't really have that much pressure on him all game compared to the other quarterbacks in the SEC. And this is coming from an Auburn defense that has been, pretty solid so far this season. They didn't really have a prolific running attack in this game against Auburn, but they did exactly what they needed to do, especially in the second half. And it came behind good O-line play that gave Gunnar Stockton the ability to operate back there. He had 24 for 217, but shout out to the Georgia O-line rounding out our offensive team of the week. Now let's flip it. Let's look at the defense here. We have, start with the D-line, the edge rushers. Starting on the D-line, we got Christian Miller from Georgia and Albert Regis from Texas A&M. These are 2 teams that had really good run stop. They played teams that have good running backs, a good running attack, I guess you could say, especially when you're looking at Georgia playing against Auburn. So shout out to these 2 guys. And now looking at the edge, you got Colin Simmons and Brad Spence. You had to put the duo from Texas on here. These 2 guys combined for 6 sacks, constant pressure. Oklahoma did roll material out there after the surgery that he had, and Texas didn't waste any time getting pressure on him. I think that was the key part of this game and why it went the way it did. Now you have both seasons, the last 2 seasons with Texas, Oklahoma, where they've really held Oklahoma to essentially nothing. and it's come behind the pressure that they put. The Oklahoma team prefers to throw the ball or operate with Mateer, using his legs. They never really had the opportunity to do it, force some errant throws, particularly the one that was behind leading to the interception. Texas, they're going to be on this list as we continue to go on for the defensive performance that they put on. We've had them kind of off of this list for most of the season because we haven't been super impressed with them. They got it done this week. Let's look at the linebacker play. I would say that CJ Allen was probably the player of the week across the entire SEC. He led tackles for the entire SEC, big in the run stop, and he had probably the biggest play of the weekend. We can talk about the controversial nature of the Auburn goal line fumble, whether you think it was a cross before he dropped it, or if you think they blew it dead too early. Really, one of two things should have happened. It should have been an Auburn touchdown or a Georgia touchdown. We didn't get either of those. SEC officiating kind of met in the middle, which, have some takes on that we could say for another day, but a huge part of that play was CJ Allen getting in there and punching that ball out. Frame by frame, you could look at it and see the ball kind of moving right as it crossed the line. Came behind, great play for him all over the field in the run stop and stopping Auburn in this game from doing really anything beyond that one play. After that, the whole game changed from 17-0 to now Georgia scoring 20 unanswered points. Other linebacker here, we got Damian Sanford. We've talked about him in the past as honorable mentions on this list. This is now his first nod here. Had a forced fumble that was recovered by Torian York. He had a pass breakup. He had 8 tackles on the game. Texas A&M continues to show that they might be the best team in the SEC. You could look at either them, Ole Miss, or Alabama, but right now I'd say that you could probably say between Texas A&M and Alabama, this defense is a big part of it, especially the linebacker play between him and York. Now let's move on to the last unit we have here. We look at our DBs as a whole. We got 3 cornerback slots, 2 safety slots here. First, we'll start with Malik Muhammad, probably the most automatic for this list. There was really no questioning on whether he would be making it or not. He had 2 interceptions in the Red River rivalry game. I thought Oklahoma had this in the bag because of not even really Mateer coming back. I just thought as a whole that they were going to be able to shut down Texas. Turned out the other way around. Malik Muhammad, 2 interceptions, right place, right time on probably the long bomb at the end of the first half that shouldn't have been thrown, and then got 1 more later in the game. Other 2 DBs here, Dijon Lee. He had some shakiness at some points in this game. Alabama was really selling out to stop the run, so they gave up some big plays here and there, but he had the game-ending interception off of Bo Prabula, sealed the game for Alabama, and something that had the heart racing. You didn't know if Alabama was going to pull this one out. Missouri getting that stop, getting the ball back. Last one here, Mansour Delane. He's no stranger to this list, no stranger to being talked about. Probably one of the better cornerbacks in the SEC. He was a blanket all game, only 2 balls thrown his way. He was credited with a pass breakup on both of those passes, continuing to be a lockdown corner for LSU. No doubt about it. All season, don't throw his way. It's not gonna get anywhere. This isn't his first game having a stat line and a performance like this. Finally, we got the 2 safeties here. We'll look at Tamarcus Cooley out of LSU. He had a pick in this game, 2 pass breakups. He's allowing an NFL passer rating of 2.8 when targeted. South Carolina offense, conversation for another day, but it hasn't looked great. The LSU defensive backs didn't do anything to make that any easier for them. So shout out to Tamarcus Cooley. And last one here, we got Michael Taff at Texas. Like I said, Texas, no stranger to this list today. They're all over it. They were all over Oklahoma. They couldn't necessarily run. They couldn't necessarily throw. They made a lot of mistakes. Michael Taff had a sack. He was all over the field. Texas did what they needed to do. So this is our team of the week on defense. We'll flash them up on the screen one more time. Let's flip it to the offense. You got, good variety from the winners this week. We got another great slate of SEC football next week. We have 8 games total. A lot of big ones that we're going to be posting previews for. We're going to continue to do these team of the weeks. We're going to continue to recap the games and talk about what's going on. Now we're starting to get down to the home stretch after next week. The back half of the season starts. You're going to start seeing who's making the run to the playoffs, who's making the run to the SEC championship. Things are really wide open right now, top to bottom. I think this is the deepest conference in college football. It's really anyone's game any given week. So let us know if we missed some players that maybe had a stellar performance that you think should have been on this list, or if you agree with what we got, let us know as well. As always, we appreciate you watching. Have a lot of fun doing this. So we'll catch you in the next one.